Hello and welcome. My name is Lisa, and in this video, I'm going to discuss the super empath and why the super empath is the narcissist's worst nightmare. An empath is someone who's very sensitive to the energy of others. They can feel what others are feeling and experience those feelings as if they were their own. They have big hearts and can oftentimes give way too much in relationships. They tend to put the feelings of others ahead of their own, and they have a strong desire to help others. They have very highly tuned senses and can feel overwhelmed sometimes when they're in crowded places. So they need alone time, preferably in nature, in order to replenish themselves. Now, the super empath has all of these traits. What makes them different is that they are highly intuitive. Now, all empaths are intuitive, but the super empath is exceptionally intuitive, and because of this, they will trust their gut more than a regular empath. They also find it easier to set boundaries and put them in place. But at the same time, they tend to have a high tolerance for abuse. And this makes them especially attractive to narcissists. The narc views the super empath as grade A supply. Their goal is to shatter the confidence of their victims and bring them under their control. This is harder to do with the super empath, so if the narcissist can succeed in destroying the super empath's self-confidence and their self-esteem, they feel especially powerful. The super empath also differs from other empaths in that they have a very strong sense of justice. They're courageous, and even though they can tolerate a lot, once they figure out that they're dealing with a narcissist, they are much, much more likely to stand up to the narcissist and much more likely to leave them. Most people, according to studies that have been done by experts, most will leave an abusive relationship and come back 7 times on the average before finally leaving for good. The super empath is much more likely to leave once and never return. Their strong sense of justice makes them more likely to expose the narcissist. They're courageous enough to navigate the narcissist smear campaign. They view that narc smear campaign as weak in comparison to what they dealt with while they were still in the relationship with the narcissist. So the super empath, just like the regular empath, they look for the good in others. But the super empath notices the hypocrisies in the narcissist earlier, and they will point these inconsistencies out to the narcissist. For example, my ex-narc had a very strong belief in past lives and reincarnation. He stated this belief quite often, saying that we're all connected to one another. We've all been both genders, both male and female, different ethnicities and different races. However, he would make statements that were very prejudiced, sexist, and racist. If you believe in past lives and you believe that you've been all these other people in past lives, how can you possibly be sexist or racist? That was contradictory to what he preached. And of course, I pointed this out to him. That never went well because the narcissist does not want to be questioned on their behavior. Now, he also claimed to hate arguing and complained that his ex-girlfriend was always screaming and yelling about something. Now, this may or may not be true. After all, I wasn't there. But during my relationship with him, he certainly screamed, yelled, cursed loudly at me quite frequently, quite often. He claimed to hate vindictiveness, and he bragged that he wasn't a vindictive person and didn't believe in tit for tat. Yet he's literally the most vindictive person I've ever known. He claimed to value monogamy, yet every relationship he's ever been in was colored by affairs. His relationship with his first and second wife ended because of affairs. His relationship with his girlfriend before me started as an affair while he was married to his second wife. The relationship he's in now started as an affair while he was still married to me. Both the empath and the super empath can see and feel the deep wounding of the narcissist. Both will attempt to save, change, or fix the narcissist. But when the empath figures out the narcissist, they're more likely to stay in the relationship and continue to try to fix it or save it much longer than the super empath. The empath who leaves the narcissist or who is discarded by the narcissist is more likely to stay quiet about the abuse they endured, at least publicly. The super empath, again with the courage they possess and their strong sense of justice, will more than likely out the narcissist and expose them for who they really are. They're also more likely to give the narcissist a taste of their own medicine. When I was still with my ex, he would yell at me over the phone and then hang up on me. And typically this would happen when I was out of town, so I just couldn't go into the other room and ask him what his problem was. I would always be the one who called back and try to resolve, whatever the issue was. The last phone conversation that I ever had with him ended with him erupting and screaming and yelling at me. This time, I was the one who hung up. This time, I didn't call back. This time, my response was to serve him with divorce papers. I completely ghosted him. I blocked him on all social media and went and stayed no contact. My ex-narc has never experienced this before. He's always been the one to end the relationships. He's always been able to have the last word, which all narcs want to do so they can feel like they won the relationship. He didn't win with me. I had figured him out, and despite the many chances I gave him to change his behavior, he never did. He made promises to change, but it never happened. I knew the situation would never change. In fact, it just kept getting worse, and the negative energy of being around him became intolerable to me. Once I knew I had exhausted every single approach that I could possibly think of to resolve the ever-increasing conflicts, I left. So the super empath, as well as most other empaths, need to know they have tried everything that they could possibly do before they can end a relationship. Now, another quality of the super empath is that they will eventually put their own needs ahead of the narcissist. This is very difficult for empaths as it goes against their nature. But once the super empath has had enough, they allow more of their narcissistic traits to come up to the surface while they dial back their empathetic qualities. Now, we all have narcissistic traits, all of us. That's what drives our ego. Without the ego, we wouldn't see ourselves as separate individuals. Narcissism is on a spectrum. So people who are considered narcissistic have very high levels of narcissistic traits and very little to no empathy for others. Super empaths have higher levels of empathy than most, but they can shut that empathy off if they need to for their own survival, and they can be selective about it. So they can continue to feel empathy for others while simultaneously cutting that empathy off regarding the narcissist. And this is another trait that sets them apart from other empaths. Once a narcissist has been leveled by the super empath, who likely left them with no discussion and no closure, just like they do when they discard someone, the narcissist has no choice but to downgrade with the next person they're with. They were no match for the super empath. And while they will still seek someone with a lot of empathy, they want and they now really need someone that is much easier to control. If your narc ex downgraded with the new supply like mine did, it's quite possible you're a super empath. They couldn't break you, and they need someone they can break. So when you leave and they quickly dive into their next relationship with that back burner supply, don't be jealous. They're not being treated any better than you were. In fact, now that you've wounded them so greatly by your leaving, and you don't continue to communicate with them in any way, so you're not giving them supply, they're going to take out all of the anger that they feel towards you and direct that to the new supply. Which is why a lot of times the new supply hates you because they believe the narcissist behavior was caused by you wounding them. Trust and believe they will experience not only the same abuse you did, it will be worse for them. They will be made to pay for the crimes the narcissist believes you committed. There is nothing to envy here. So whether you're a super empath or not, you can still overcome the abuse that you experienced with a narcissist. The trauma bond can be broken. It takes time and it takes effort to do this. But once you heal, you'll be stronger and more confident than you ever were before, even before you met the narcissist. Hey, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger, right? If you're away from the narcissist, that took strength. If you're still with the narcissist, you still have strength because you're still surviving. If you're listening to videos such as this, you still have that will to survive, and you have it within you to get out of that abusive situation and start thriving. And it is my sincere hope for anyone still involved with these toxic individuals to get out. Check out the playlists I've left in the description box on self-care to help boost your self-confidence and your self-esteem. Dedicate yourself to your healing and your recovery, and I promise you will get there. It takes time. Be patient with yourself and just keep moving forward. It's a difficult journey, but the rewards are well worth it. Thank you all so much for listening, and may your day be blessed.